Welcome to Crash Course, everybody. Today we're diving into a conflict that quite literally reshaped the map of North America, the Mexican-American War. Now you might be thinking, another war? Don't we have enough of those? And you wouldn't be wrong, but this one, well, it's particularly fraught, full of ambition, ideology, and consequences that echo even to this day. We're talking land, we're talking slavery, we're talking about the very idea of America itself. So buckle up, because things are about to get complicated, messy, and dare I say, fascinating. Okay, so to understand this whole shebang, we gotta rewind a bit, back to 1836. Texas, a vast and rugged land, was then a part of Mexico. The Mexican government had invited settlers to this region hoping to develop the area, but cultural and political differences soon led to tensions. The settlers, many of whom were from the United States, felt disconnected from the Mexican government, which was far away in Mexico City. Texas, then a part of Mexico, decides it's had enough of Mexican rule and declares independence. This wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision, it was the result of years of growing dissatisfaction. The settlers wanted more autonomy and they were willing to fight for it. Cue the Alamo, a battle etched into American memory, but one that ultimately didn't stop Texas from achieving its goal. The Alamo became a symbol of resistance and sacrifice. Despite the loss, it galvanized the Texan forces, leading to a decisive victory at the Battle of San Jacinto. Fast forward 9 years and boom! The United States annexes Texas, making it the 28th state. This move was controversial and had significant political implications. It was a bold statement of American expansionism, reflecting the idea of manifest destiny. Now Mexico? Not too happy about this. They saw Texas as a breakaway province, not an independent nation, and this annexation? Well, it felt like a slap in the face, a land grab of colossal proportions. The Mexican government was outraged, viewing the annexation as an act of aggression. And you know what they say about resentment? It festers. The annexation of Texas set the stage for further conflict, leading to the Mexican-American War. This war would reshape the map of North America and have lasting effects on the relationship between the two nations. Here's where things get really sticky. See, the US and Mexico couldn't agree on where exactly the southern border of Texas lay. The US claimed the Rio Grande as the dividing line, which would give them a whole lot more land. Mexico, on the other hand, insisted it was the Nueces River, significantly further north. This wasn't just about some arbitrary line on a map, folks. It was about control, resources, and the future of the West. Imagine two roommates arguing over who gets the bigger closet, except instead of sweaters and shoes, we're talking about thousands of square miles of potentially valuable territory. Now, we can't talk about the Mexican-American War without talking about manifest destiny. This belief, deeply ingrained in the American psyche at the time, held that the United States was destined, even divinely ordained, to expand its dominion across the continent, from sea to shining sea. It was a heady mix of nationalism, romanticism, and let's be honest, a good dose of ethnocentrism. President James K. Polk, a staunch believer in manifest destiny, saw the annexation of Texas and the potential acquisition of even more Mexican territory as, well, fulfilling America's God-given mission. And Mexico? Just another obstacle in the path of progress. Chapter 4. Skirmish or Pretext. The spark ignites. Tensions were already high, but in 1846, things boiled over. A skirmish erupted between US and Mexican troops in the disputed territory between the Nueces and the Rio Grande. Now, who shot first is still debated by historians, but the outcome was clear. President Polk used the incident as justification to declare war on Mexico. Was it a genuine defense of American soil, as Polk claimed, or a calculated provocation to seize land? You decide. But one thing's for sure, this wasn't just a border dispute anymore, it was a full-blown war between two nations. Chapter 5. Palo Alto. First blood and a sign of things to come. The first major battle of the war took place in May 1846 near a place called Palo Alto, just north of the Rio Grande. The U.S. Army, smaller but armed with superior artillery, inflicted a decisive defeat on the Mexican forces. This victory, while just the beginning, sent shockwaves through both nations. For the U.S., it was a morale boost, proof that their destiny was within reach. For Mexico, it was a bitter taste of what was to come, a long, uphill battle against a more powerful foe. Chapter 6. The Fall of Mexico City, a crushing blow. The war raged on for 2 years, marked by brutal battles and heavy losses on both sides. The Mexican-American War was a conflict that tested the resolve and strength of both nations. Each battle was a testament to the bravery and determination of the soldiers who fought, often in grueling conditions and against overwhelming odds. But the turning point came in 1847 with the capture of Mexico City. This event was not just a military victory but a significant psychological blow to the Mexican forces. The fall of their capital signaled a shift in the war's momentum, one that would be hard to reverse. General Winfield Scott, after a series of brilliant military maneuvers, marched into the heart of Mexico and took the capital. His strategic genius and relentless pursuit of victory were key factors in this decisive moment. Scott's campaign is often studied in military academies for its effectiveness and precision. This was a devastating blow to Mexican morale, effectively breaking the back of their resistance. The sight of their soldiers surrendering and the subsequent occupation of their city was a bitter pill to swallow. It marked the beginning of the end for Mexican hopes of victory. Imagine your capital city, the heart of your nation, occupied by a foreign army. The streets, once filled with the hustle and bustle of daily life, now patrolled by enemy soldiers. The sense of loss and helplessness would be overwhelming. It was a humiliation that cut deep and left a scar on the Mexican psyche that wouldn't soon heal. The occupation of Mexico City was not just a military defeat but a profound emotional and cultural wound that would take generations to mend. Chapter 7. Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the Spoils of War. With Mexico defeated and occupied, the two sides met to hammer out a peace treaty in a little town called Guadalupe Hidalgo. This small town, now a part of Mexico City, became the stage for a significant moment in history. The negotiations were intense, with both sides bringing their own agendas and demands to the table. However, the power dynamics were heavily skewed in favor of the United States. The result? Well, let's just say it was a pretty one-sided affair. The United States, having emerged victorious, dictated the terms of the treaty. The Mexican negotiators had little choice but to acquiesce to the demands placed upon them. Mexico was forced to cede a vast swath of territory to the United States' present-day California, Nevada, Utah, and parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming. This land, rich in resources and potential, significantly expanded the United States' geographical and economic footprint. In exchange for this massive loss of land, Mexico received a paltry sum of $15 million, and the U.S. agreed to assume certain debts. This amount, though seemingly large at the time, was a fraction of the land's true value and potential. It wasn't a negotiation, it was a diktat. The Mexican representatives, under immense pressure, had to sign the treaty, marking a moment of profound loss and humiliation for Mexico. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo remains a stark reminder of the spoils of war and the heavy price of defeat. So the United States got what it wanted, land and lots of it. The Mexican Cession, as it's known, almost doubled the size of the country, fulfilling the dreams of those who believed in manifest destiny. The U.S. now stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific, a sprawling nation poised to become a global power. But this expansion came at a steep price. Thousands of lives lost, a legacy of resentment in Mexico, and perhaps most significantly, the reignition of a debate that would soon tear the nation apart. The acquisition of all this new land reignited a question that had been simmering for decades: what to do about slavery? Should it be allowed to expand into these new territories, or should they be free soil? The debate raged in newspapers, in Congress, and in homes across the nation. The Missouri Compromise, a fragile agreement that had kept the peace for a while, was shattered. The issue of slavery, once contained, now threatened to consume the nation. The Mexican-American War, while seemingly about land and borders, had become a catalyst for the even greater conflict to come, the American Civil War. The Mexican-American War was a national humiliation for Mexico. Not only did they lose nearly half their territory, but the war also exposed their political instability and military weaknesses. The defeat led to years of turmoil and resentment, a sense that they had been bullied by their powerful northern neighbor. The economic and social consequences were devastating. The war drained Mexico's treasury, disrupted its economy, and left its people demoralized. the loss of land and resources had a lasting impact, shaping the relationship between the two nations for generations to come. So there you have it, the Mexican-American War, a conflict driven by ambition, ideology, and a healthy dose of opportunism. It was a war that reshaped the map of North America, fueled the rise of the United States as a global power, and sowed the seeds of future conflicts both within the U.S. and between the two neighbors. It's a story of victory and defeat, of expansion and loss, and one that continues to shape the relationship between the United States and Mexico to this day.